Wasatch Moto Overland did a video on fixing this little side trim on the seats of a first gen Sequoia about a year ago. I'll put a link to that down in the description. But he showed doing it on the passenger side, which does not have this little lumbar control. So I've been fighting with this thing. I've replaced the clips and it just won't hold in. So I'm going to try that process on this one as well. Now, I've already done it, but I'm just going to show you what I ended up doing. So first, let's shift the seat all the way forward. So there's typically a little clip that sticks right in that hole. There's also a little tab that's supposed to fit in there and lock in. And then on the backside, going in from the backside right here, is a Phillips screw. So I'm going to get that screw out and we'll get this thing all the way off. Screw all the way off. You can pull this out and kind of pivot it around. If you wanted to unhook the wiring here, you can, but I didn't find it necessary. I had attempted to repair this little tab with some safety wire and tried to glue it and epoxy it, and it just kept popping off. So I'm hoping the screw fix will do the trick. So with this up in place, where it's latched in to where it's supposed to be, I just came down about 2 inches from the end of this little SRS airbag marker, kind of straight back from the corner of this switch. And I didn't have any self-tapping long screws. The only thing I had was this 3-inch exterior grade construction screw. So I just kind of picked a point and I drove it in there. And you know, I kind of looked back and forth and lined it up and figured out where it was going to work best. And there's a little like bump here, and it ended up just putting a divot in this metal here. So I just kind of drove it in there until it left a mark, and then I took a drill and I pre-drilled the hole. I don't know what size this drill bit is, but I figured out what size I needed by just getting a size that was just a hair smaller than my screw. And so I drilled that most of the way through. And then I did have some of these multi-mate kind of self-tapping screws. So I ran one of those through there just to kind of cut the threads. Now they're not perfect. They don't match perfectly up to this screw, but it at least cut some threads in there. So once I was done, I kind of got everything back in place and screwed it together, and it was going to hold tight. So to kind of clean up the surface a little bit, because this has got a bugle head on it, I just took a chamfer bit and chamfered that out a little bit. So let me get this all together. You can remove this really easily. Using an impact driver definitely works a little better, but you probably could do it by just with a hand screwdriver as well. I'm gonna get this drove in there. And then once it's in there and you kind of get everything lined up and in place, you can kind of sight where that hole is, get everything lined up, and then push it in and screw it tight. Hard to do one-handed, but I'm going to get it put back together. Before I do that one, I'm going to actually put this screw in back here, because there are a few little clips back here that need to fit together. So I'm going to get that one in and then screw this one tight. And so there we go. It's nice and tight. This little tab is kind of locked in. If I had this clip on the front, it'd probably be a little better, but I've got this one screw in the back, that screw holding it in. And you just kind of want to adjust your tension so it's not caving it in too much. I'm actually going to loosen this just a hair. And if you stick your fingers down through here, you can actually see where that screw comes through. So I just cut off the tip of that, and I just used a little Dremel, and then I just rounded over and kind of smoothed that so it didn't have a sharp point on it. And that way it'll be much safer if you have to reach down in there. So that's it for this one. Pretty simple fix. We'll see how it holds up. Big props to Wasatch Moto Overland. Check out his original video down in the description. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them down below. Until next time, we'll see you later.